Hi everyone. Very delighted to have you all in this conversation today. We have Mr. Prashant, who looks after strategy and IR for Excelsoft Technologies. Excelsoft Technologies is basically a listed firm, but it was started in 2000 in Mysore, long before EdTech was even a buzzword. Uh, just wanted to understand, sir, if you could just start off with, our early days before we continue to what we are doing today. And what were the initial years like? How did we ramp up to where we are today? And especially, 2005-6 when we onboarded Pearson, who continues to be one of our biggest clients. But if you could just start off with the early years and give us a brief background about yourself and the promoter.
Sure. Hi, good afternoon, Priyamji. Good afternoon, Jaiji. Very happy to be on this call. My name is Prashant. I am the Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Investor Relations at Excelsoft Technologies Ltd. A very quick introduction to the promoters of this company. This company was started by Mr. Sudhanva Dhananjaya. He started it way back in 2000, in the year 2000, along with his father, Professor Dhananjaya, who was an educationist. Mr. Sudhanva being a technologist, and his father, Professor Dhananjaya, being an educationist. They found this intersection of education and technology an interesting space. So they started Excelsoft as a e-learning, edtech, technology in education kind of company way back in 2000. Around that time is when I joined. So I've been with the promoters ever since inception. The early years of Excelsoft, when we started in 2000, like what Priyam said, tech was not a buzzword, not a fancy thing at that time. It was quite a nascent stage it was in. We looked at various possibilities within that space. We looked at development of content, digitization of content, services in the education technology space. But then we thought what would make true sense is to have a software technology platform play where we develop IP and then be able to license that IP to customers who would want to use an edtech platform or a learning management platform or a assessment platform. So that was the initial thought process. We started off building a product. Early days it was not easy because building a product was not a commonplace at that time. Services was, of course, India was quite established as a services player, but as a software product play, it wasn't a commonplace at that time. So we learned by mistakes. We got the products right after one or two iterations, and we went with the product to some of our known circles, and then got feedback. We got some initial successes in the UK. UK was better prepared in terms of infrastructure. Infrastructure is what we thought at that time. So we got some introductions to both local education authorities and some other educational systems. After one or two successes, we got a major breakthrough with the Guardian Media Group in UK, who had set out to build a large repository of curriculum content. And we built their entire backend content management system, talking about 2000, 2001, 2002, that time frame. Later, we built a very specialist assessment product with which we went on to, of course, the learning management system was always there, and the assessment system was also there. We went to a number of publishers, because we had the introduction to Guardian and we understood the process of content development and management. Publishers are traditionally the custodians of content. If all from textbooks to all kinds of content, publishers own that area quite well, because traditionally they have been the custodians. So it was natural for us to go to publishers and pitch to them that we would be a technology partner, use our platform, bring in your content. Together, it makes a wonderful product which can sell in your markets. You focus on your core competence, which is content. We will focus on our core competence, which is technology. That was our pitch. We did quite well with publishers, a number of them, small ones initially, mostly in Europe and UK. And later in 2005, late 2005, we got a breakthrough with the world number one publisher, Pearson. With Pearson, again, the pitch was that use our content. They had set out to build a platform for use by all their business units. You might have heard of Prentice Hall, Addison Wesley, Benjamin Cummins, and all of those. So they had set out to build a platform which could be serviced, which could service the requirements of all these imprints. And we built that platform. For us, it was basically licensing our core platform and then building on top of it. So we started building. Pearson, being Pearson very large, their requirements started pouring in, and that is our services business now. We continue to work with Pearson. Got started in 2005, 2006. We continue to do it. In fact, it is only growing over a period of time. So even today, we do a lot of work with Pearson, which is all education technology services, right?
Could we slightly simplify on what exactly our first platform was way back in 2006, and then maybe we can go back to at a later stage on how it's evolved right now, if we could simplify it a bit more.
Okay, so when we started in 2000, the idea was to come up with a platform which helps deliver content to the various stakeholders. It could be teachers, it could be students, it could be administrators, or anyone in any other stakeholder within the process, right? There could be back-end stakeholders like content authors, content developers, graphic designers, and all of those. So the platform was expected to meet the requirements of all these different role players, in the sense that the course is built for which you need content. The content is developed outside of the platform but ingested into the platform and managed. And then once the course is ready to be delivered, you deliver it to students. Teachers play a slightly different role in the system where they manage the courses. There are administrators, course administrators, and other kinds of administrators. So all of these are managed. This needs to be managed. Any learning program needs to be managed, and our platform helped manage this entire process. Alongside the learning management system came in the assessment management system, or a system which helps put together questions, different kinds of questions from multiple choice. Multiple choice questions are what we are aware of, most predominantly used. Fill in the blanks, true or false type of questions, or maybe short answer questions, or maybe graphical questions like there is an image and you hotspot on that image, like where is the capital of India, on a map, and you'll have to click on that. Such things, right? So different kinds of content. You can author those content and then build tests using those questions, and then deliver those tests to end users. Again, variety of end users, and process the responses that are captured, and be able to produce reports and gradings based on the grading scheme, award them ranks or a list of leaderboard, or whatever is the scheme. Right, so this is an assessment management system. So we built both a learning management system and an assessment management system in the early years of Excelsoft. Today, while we continue to work on the learning management system, there are publishers as well as other agencies, including corporate establishments, for their learning and development. They use the learning management system. We have been focusing heavily on the assessment domain. We are quite known for our assessment capabilities, meaning these are high stakes assessments. I'm talking about those which can be life-changing for the person who is taking the test. It could be a standardized educational assessment for entrance into a university, or it could be a recruitment exam like a civil services exam, or it could be a promotion exam, or it could be a certification exam. Somebody wants to be a lead auditor for ISO they have to take a test, and that test is delivered on our platform. Or it could be the typical O level, A level kind of exams, 10th, 12th equivalent, right? The school education, uh,
Correct.
those as well. So these are high stakes assessments, and we continue to deliver a number of such high stakes assessments. So initially we started with a rudimentary platform for tests, not so high stakes, but then graduated into becoming a real strong player, probably arguably the most advanced in terms of feature set, in terms of security, performance, availability, reliability. We are probably up there in the ladder when it comes to providers of platforms for high stakes assessments.
So I think in some way we have found a niche in the test taking and assessment market. But if you were to go back to 2005 and 6, what I understood is basically we built sort of a platform where we help them digitize their content, we help them build their LMS, and we help them build their grade assessment, which I think and at that time would have been done manually, right?
Correct.
Compared to
Yes.
today. Right.
Yes. Very
So
right. Very right. Correct.
it Pearson then became our anchor client from what I've understood till now, and after that we continued to mine opportunities within the same group and go ahead. So, sir, I just wanted to, before we dive deeper into this business, I just wanted to understand your view on this, sort of controversial topic that has erupted in India in the last few months now, and that is the impact of AI on IT services and in general, a lot of people are losing jobs across the country. So I just wanted to understand, because you're so close to this industry, you're doing this 24/7. What is your view? I mean, is it going to be that bad? Have we overreacted? What is your view?
Is there an impact of AI on the software development industry at large? Definitely, yes. We are not in a denial mode. We must accept that there is an impact. And what kind of an impact is important? If you are a coding shop, right, and you are using humans to develop code, can AI replace those humans who are developing code? That means writing code? Yes, definitely. That is something the AI is very capable of, writing very good quality code. However, companies like ours is not a coding shop. I'm sure you would understand when I say not a coding shop, because we have deep domain expertise. And what we do with this domain expertise is come up with platforms on which there are, the exams that I was explaining to you, something like an educational assessment for entrance into a university, or maybe a promotion exam or a recruitment exam. These are really high stakes. When those are high stakes exams, our customers would want to rely on something which is proven over a period of time, as well as the all the matters like security, reliability, and all of those are ensured. They wouldn't obviously want to develop their own platforms, because they would also want to benefit from the rich expertise that a company like us have. We work with a dozen publishers, for instance, right? And we know the best practices of how assessments are done. We work with a dozen certification bodies, and each one bring their own nuances to the way they do the certification business, right? We understand all of that. And the domain that we are in is not just about some features that you see on the screen and that deliver some functionality, and with that functionality you manage a business. No, I don't think it is as simple as it looks like. It is deep in the domain. For instance, these questions, you might have known some of the popular educational assessments like the GREs, GMATs, the SATs, and all of that, right? How are those delivered? They are not just questions, MCQ questions coming up here on your screen and you're answering them, and lo, there is a result and a rank or a percentile. No, there is deep statistics behind it. There is a lot of psychometrics behind it, which is deep science, deep technology, which cannot be translated into code just like that by providing it some prompts. Of course, using AI, you can leverage AI to gain a lot of productivity enhancements, which we are doing, which we have been doing over a period of over 3 years now. We are one of those early adapters of AI. We had what we call as a AI focus group way back 3.5 years ago, even before the Chat GPT became popular, right? So ever since, our teams have been looking closely into what's the potential impact of AI. And we have always been, never have we felt threatened by AI. We always felt that, AI is a great leverage and is a great opportunity. And that's what we have been doing. The first thing that we decided as a strategy was to have our own ecosystem. That means have our own GPU farm. So we have a 8 cluster GPU farm in-house in our premise in Mysore. Why was that important? Is because most of our customers were not comfortable, at least in the initial years, to use a hosted LLM, for their purposes. For instance, the publishers or certification bodies or awarding bodies who are our customers wouldn't trust uploading of their content and data onto an LLM which is hosted somewhere else, because you don't know what's happening out there. It was all a black box, right? So the moment we said it doesn't leave the perimeter of our network, they were that much more comfortable, right? As well as the costs that are involved in these, right? Although there was a capex involved in the GPU farms, setting up the GPU farm, however, it offsets the cost that is recurring cost, right? It can become prohibitive for us to provide access to AI for all the 1100 people in Excelsoft today, right? It becomes obviously cost prohibitive. But the method that we have used is having an in-house cluster and sort of democratizing AI usage within our ecosystem. Everybody from coders, obviously, test engineers for their test automation, writing of test scripts and all of those, to business analysts, to our pre-sales, to sales, to administrators, HR. Everybody has access to high quality AI tools, and that's what we have done. So all in all, AI is definitely a great opportunity for those companies who are deep in domain, as well as AI must be leveraged to gain productivity improvements, and that's how we look at it. And just one last point, VMG, on AI. See, like what every other services company is targeting now, right? There is a tremendous need to bring in AI into every other sector. For instance, let's talk about BFSI. There is so much AI coming into all your systems. Talk about retail. There is so much AI coming into all the systems. Same with in our space, be it publishing or certification or qualifications or any other, right? Learning. There is so much AI coming into the system. That means our customers who have dozens and dozens of learning and assessment products will have to be enabled with AI. That in itself is a huge opportunity. Transforming their existing systems into AI-enabled, AI-first systems is a great opportunity, and nobody wants to be left behind. Particularly publishers like the Pearsons, like this Engage, who are in the top 10, wouldn't want to be left behind in terms of usage of AI. They would want to transform their platforms, and that means opportunities for companies like us.
No, thank you, sir. Very well explained. And I'd love to come back to a few of these points as we progress. But so just wanted to understand on our original question is that while organizations like ours who are lean and fungible, we can move around, pivot. But do you think that, big organizations like, for the lack of a better word or an example, something like a TCS or HCL, it's going to be harder for them to, do things that we're doing, or it's going to be harder for them to, change, because the rate of change for us is going to be much faster compared to them. So what do you think about the biggies in our sector?
I think I'm nobody to comment on the biggies, their abilities to transform and all of that. Definitely, they would be looking at strategies of how do they want to manage this transition. And if you look at, I'm sure you would be observing what's happening in this world. Each one of them, the large players, have their own set of strategies, and they are not too different from what I have been explaining, particularly from the second point that I was trying to impress upon,
Right.
that there are large number of opportunities that are going to be available for companies where all sectors are looking at transforming their platforms with AI. So I think that's is what's going to happen.
So, sir, as we start diving into the business, just wanted to first bifurcate our business between products and services.
Sure.
If we can start talking about the product segment first, which is, I think, roughly about 40-45% of our revenue today, the
Correct.
product segment.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
And so first, if we start within products, we have assessment and proctoring solutions, and we have learning and student success solutions.
Yes.
So within assessments, if we can talk about our two key products, which are the main drivers for revenue for us, which is Easy Proctor and Saras. If you can
Saras,
just
yes.
give us a brief background about both of them.
Sure. Sure. Yes, you are right. Our business is organized as two product lines and two service lines. When I say product lines, they are assessment and proctoring solutions. Then the learning and student success solutions. When it comes to services, they are technology services and content services. Assessment and proctoring solutions, there are two major platforms. One is the main flagship e-assessment platform, which is called Saras e-assessments. That helps us to develop with assessment content, author questions, and manage the whole life cycle that I was describing earlier, the whole 9 yards. While Saras manages the assessment workflow, there is another subsystem, if you will, which is the proctoring. Those assessments or those tests that are taken from homes, let us say, which are not invigilated by humans in a particular center. Like, you don't walk into a test center to take a test, but you are taking that test from the comfort of your home, right? But how are you invigilated? How are you watched over that you're not cheating is basically proctoring solution, and that is Easy Proctor. The camera of the laptop, in many cases, there's a secondary camera from a mobile phone, gives a 360 view of your ambience of test taking environment, and then that is streamed to a most of the times a human invigilator, a human proctor sitting somewhere else, getting a feed of number of test takers from different locations. It could be 1:4 or 1:8 or 1:16 or whatever, right? So somebody watches over. Most of the times, like what I said, it's humans. In some cases, it's all AI. That means you're watched over by AI. And then if there is a potential malpractice, then there could be a human intervention to look at what wrong are you doing, and then based on that you are allowed to continue the test, or the test gets stopped. Or it could be that you are allowed to take the complete test, and then there is a post-test forensics of was there any cheating that was happening. All these are proctoring solutions. Assessment is the base platform of creating tests and delivering those tests and managing the responses of individuals, and then doing all the processes. There are a few smaller things here, important things, like when the test is being constructed, right? Which question should be picked up, and which question should become part of the test. All these are based on algorithms, right? There are different kinds of algorithms. Some of the educational assessments, like the GMATs, have specific algorithms that you are aware of. It's called an adaptive algorithm. So our platform is capable of meeting all the requirements of such tests, and also that once you have delivered the tests and the responses are available, lot of data, the whole entire process, in the entire process you would have left a lot of digital data footprint, right? So that is available for forensics. So post the test is delivered, many a times it could be millions of users and lots of data points, So there is a lot of analysis and forensics that are possible with these with this data. So all of that is part of our assessment platform and the proctoring systems. This is assessment and proctoring.
So Saras, the platform, essentially we made this in 2005 and 6, and I'm sure that there have been multiple iterations as we've gone ahead in the last 15-20 years. So Pearson was an anchor client. It's something that you've said before, and it's there in the con call transcript. I just wanted to understand the profile of the other clients that are there for this product, and
So some of the like what you rightly said, Pearson has been one of our largest customers for a long period of time now. However, we did not lose sight on other customers. We have been adding new customers. We have over 100 customers now, and predominantly publishers, universities, certification bodies, qualifications agencies, awarding bodies. When I say certification of different kind, and then there are skill certification agencies. So all these are our customers now for both learning and assessment systems. Just to name a few, of course, some of those where naming would be difficult. I'll just give you a sense of what I'm talking about. Very large publishers, global publishers. They like some of them, like the Ascend Learning in US, or it could be the Cambridge University Press, the Oxford University Press. So some of these are large publishers. Likewise, we have a few more such large publishers. Talking about universities across the globe, we have a number of universities. We have been working with universities, a very large online university in US since 2012. They have been our customers. And then a number of universities in Middle East as well. Coming to the certification bodies or qualifications agencies, we work with the certification bodies like CQI, Chartered Quality Institute in UK. They are the ones who certify ISO lead auditors, ISO internal auditors, and all of those, right? So likewise, we have number of other chartered accountant associations in countries. We have civil services exams of multiple countries now, one of which you might have seen the recent one, which was in Philippines, the Philippines Civil Services Department. And then we have driving license tests delivered, and this is in the UK. We deliver driving license tests. We have the A-level and O-level exams delivered by the Ministry of Education in Singapore through our partner in Singapore. We partnered with another company in Singapore called NextGen, and we are addressing all the requirements of the Singapore Examinations and Assessment Board. Likewise, there are a number of such very important high-stakes assessments that we have been delivering over a period of time.
Right. And so, do we hold the IP for this platform?
Yes.
It does. So it's
yes.
Is it patented? Is it something that can be patented, or?
Yes. Some parts of it are patent filed. You cannot, patent the entire platform because it's very humongous. But then, we have copyrights, we have trademarks. So IP is generally protected, and it's all 100% owned IP.
And so the revenue for this specific product, is it say per test? I mean, is it cost plus kind of a model, or is it per test kind of a model? So basically, is it a SaaS product, or is it one of those IT services? Traditional?
No, you're right, Priyam, when you're saying that it is a SaaS product. We charge on a per test basis. The revenue stack up is something like this. When we onboard a customer, this is generally an enterprise sale. Although it is a SaaS compliant platform, it is an enterprise sale for us because the kind of customers we work with are such. Like what I said, a civil services department of a country. So there will be a lot of specific peculiar requirements for customization. So therefore, and there will be an implementation cycle. So therefore, our revenue stacks up as follows. There is obviously a license, and we most of the times we have a minimum revenue guarantee. That means X number of tests is guaranteed, whether or not they are able to deliver those many. Right? And on top of the minimum service guarantee, there is the per test revenue, and then we have the customization revenue, which is basically estimated effort translated into costs. And then we have support revenue, which is typically on a annual basis and an AMC like a support. And then sometimes there will be training, there will be authoring support, and all the additional ancillary revenue opportunities.
So what we see in the P&L today is a consolidated EBITDA. Because the services business is a big part of our business. But I'm sure that the margins for this business, the product business, are going to be much higher. So if you can break down what kind of margins do we enjoy in our product business and the kind of operating leverage that we'll have, going ahead, because as the tests keep on going up incrementally, I'm sure that margins will improve for this specific business. So if
Correct.
you can share that, please, if possible.
Yes. I'm sure you would imagine how the margins would look like. Services versus license revenue. Services, it's typical like how it is in the industry, anywhere between 55 to 58% gross margin. That is where we operate, like any other. And then within the products business, if there is customization, that is also typically in the same range, because it is alike. It's like the services business alone. However, the license is where the margins are better. For obvious reasons, they are better. And then over a period of time, when we have more number of customers, we will have higher license revenue. The opportunity of better margins or the expansion in the margins is definitely there. Yes, license is better. It's about 70 to 80% gross margin, and that is where the opportunity for expansion is.
Okay. And so going ahead, within our product division, we discussed assessment and proctoring solutions. Moving on to learning and student solutions, which are again Saras AI Levent, which is the new product. If you can just give a simple breakdown about all the products that exist here, it would be very helpful.
Sure. I mentioned about Saras LMS, right? So this is the learning management system we were providing on a license basis to publishers. And that is one of the platforms which is still there, like the Oxford University Press that I'm talking about, uses our platform, the learning management system. We call it the academic learning management system, and delivers products to schools. Then we have OpenPage, which is another platform, again used by publishers. So what happens here is, because publishers predominantly published earlier, at least, textbooks, right, which were print textbooks, and you have a digital version of the same print textbook. So the idea was the ebook, which is generally available without any functionality, right? So ebook is flat, no functionality. So our idea of OpenPage way back in 2008 itself was to convert it into an interactive book. Today, flip books are all quite common, right? So you can do a flipping of that, you can annotate on top of it, you can highlight a particular sentence and all of that. So we did it. Probably we were one of those pioneers of coming up with that kind of a platform way back in 2008. In addition to the features like a flip book, where you can flip it, annotate and all of that, you can bring in content as well. That means, if there was an image in a textbook, right, parts of the plant, right, you can turn that into an animation. While you are delivering it digitally in situ where it is, you can just click on it and it turns into an animation or a video, right? Or an interactive. For instance, all the labels of the parts of the plant are by the side. As a user or a learner, you'll have to drag and drop each one of them, the root, stem, leaf, and all of that onto the respective places on the image. So a book comes alive. So that is OpenPage. So there are a number of customers for that, like Cengage and others. So they use our platform to deliver a digital interactive book. Okay. And then there is EnableEd. EnableEd is a corporate learning and development platform, basically an LXP, as we call it, learning experience platform. The paradigm of corporate learning and development has changed over a period of time. Earlier, it used to be courses, right? Courses delivered a full-blown 1.5 hour course or maybe a 3 hour course delivered. So L&D used to happen like that, online courses. And of course, there is all the other paraphernalia like training management, right? As an individual, you do the skill gap analysis of, for me and identify the gaps. You have a competency profile against which you will check my competencies. You have identify the gap, and then those gaps are to be filled, for which you throw up a number of learning opportunities, some of which could be online courses. Others could be anything offline. For instance, go and attend a program or a conference or read a book or whatever, right? So that entire process is managed on a learning management system, a L&D, learning and development platform. The experience of taking the online courses would be on a learning experience platform. And this learning experience platform, the paradigm, or the newer paradigm, because the attention span of individuals is going down by the day, right? So it is now micro learning or nugget size learning.
Right.
So the Enable is a micro learning enabled platform, again SaaS platform. We have
how many
a number
users
of
will be using it?
correct.
A rough number, if we can.
About more than a dozen
More than a dozen. Okay.
platforms. Yeah,
Right.
corporations are using it across different geographies.
And
So
then
these
we have,
are
I think, Learn Active and
college.
Spark, which is
Yeah. So
yeah.
College Spark is an interesting product. We now have renamed it as Career Spark. This is something which helps an individual identify their career aspirations as to what they want to be before they get into the university. And typically in the university, you choose courses based on what you want to be, right? And for you to choose those courses, you have somebody called as a faculty advisor typically. And today, without any support system, a faculty advisor should only be making guesses as to what your interests are, what skills do you have, and things like that. Or it has to be a long conversation. The entire attempt with a student success platform is to capture data from across different platforms, make sense out of it, and create insights for both the student as well as the faculty advisor as to what could be the right kind of courses or what could be the right path for me to get into, so that I meet my career objective. So that's in a nutshell what a student success platform is, and Career Spark is about that. We have a university called Brigham Young University in the US, with whom we implemented this way back in 2013, and sort of over a period of time perfected this concept, because this was when AI was not available in this format, so you had to do a lot of predictive analytics and all of that, which took a lot of effort and time, and we perfected all of that, and the platform is now being used in other organizations as well. Particularly in the workplace scenario as well, because there is a rapid change in the skill sets that are expected out of an individual. So upskilling, reskilling requirements are quite high, and you don't have the privilege of upskilling or reskilling in a wrong skill, right? If you are reskilling yourself in a wrong skill, then catching up would become extremely difficult. So identify the right skill where you want to be upskilling or reskilling yourself is the whole objective of Career Spark, and that is what we are looking at now.
Right. So we quickly come back to a few more products as we towards the back end of the video. So currently, what's visible to us are two things. One is the fact that we found a niche within education, and we are building more and more products. So is it safe to say that it's just like what we see in the fashion business, where there are multiple SKUs, and what works, and then the company decides to ramp up on that. So we basically made multiple products, and whatever starts working for us, wherever we see momentum, we'll end up ramping up there.
Yes. Except that, Priyamji, there is a process that we have built in for this innovation. You are very right that you have to respond to the market needs, for which you will have to keep experimenting, and all of that is happening. I'll just give you in a nutshell the process. We have a market intelligence team. Exclusively, there are analysts who look into the market closely. We have our pre-sales team, of course, who are privy to a lot of RFPs, what is being asked by our customers, as well as when they put together a solution, they know what would make better sense. And then we have the business analyst teams within the product teams, right? So,
Right.
so there is a sort of a churn that keeps happening within these three business units or other functional
Sure.
teams, and these teams work in close tandem with the innovation team. The innovation team is led by our Chief Innovations Officer Adarsh, who takes care of making sure that all these ideas are brought into a pipeline. So just to give you some numbers, some statistics here, last year, the whole of FY26, we identified and examined 38 different ideas of such in this realm. And then, out of the 38, we productized 4, and there is a process in between where we did some pilots, we did experiments and all such things.
Right.
So that is how.
Right. Right. So I mean, in simple language, the team helps you to visualize the TAM possible,
Yes.
for these products,
Yes.
and then you decide whether to go ahead or not.
Absolutely right.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. And so, before we get into services, today roughly 40% of the business is products and 60% services. Do you think by 2030 that will flip, or maybe products will be 70-80%? Any guesstimate that you can give us? Uh,
Uh, So what I can definitely tell you is that the opportunities that we have in our pipeline, right, both potential customers as well as expansion of our existing customers, right? So it is we are getting a clear visibility on the products, licenses, as well as product related services expanding. So overall, the products business would definitely flip, if not become more than the 60% where the services are at this point in time. Definitely, it will be a 60-40 at least in favor of products, is what we
Sure.
think.
Sure. Okay. And so, how have acquisitions helped us? Because if we see in the last 25 journey, I think we've had 3 acquisitions, if I'm not wrong, in periods. So,
Yes.
so is it about hire for a company like Excelsoft? Acquisitions are about getting new talent, or are they getting businesses where there are specific clients? What exactly how acquisitions help us?
Yes. Yeah, definitely important. Acquisitions are important for us, though we are quite bullish about the organic growth for reasons that there could be a synergistic play where our existing core business also gets benefited. We are looking actively into acquisitions. I'll give you some example targets, right? Not the companies itself, but how would it look like? So I was telling you that we have been working with a number of civil services departments with governments, right? So we have done a few countries, few states, states in the United States and all that. Now, if we have to replicate this success, we have to go after the other departments, other states in the US. We have to go after other countries and things like that. Similarly, we have done driving license of one country. We can do more. We have done, you know what I mean. So we are doing ISO certification. We can do more with others. So that means replicating our success with one customer or a few customers in one sector needs that we need a lot of feet on street and in the markets that matter to us. For instance, if you want to go after all the states in US, it is best that you are there. Now, you cannot be doing it sitting in Mysore, right? Obviously, we need to be present there. And for which, if there is an opportunity to find a company which can provide that feet on street, both for frontline sales as well as customer success management, right? That would make a lot of sense for us, and that is what we are looking at. And of course, we would also look at complementary, product lines, skill sets, and all of that. That would be bonus. But primarily, we are looking at teams to augment our feet on street.
And so is it safe to say that with, I think, 350 or 380 crore cash on books, an acquisition is on the cards very soon, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
we talked about it in the
Not
earnings call as well.
sure.
That
Yeah.
yeah, that we are not on a acquisition spree.
Right.
Our acquisition strategy is not driven by money available in the bank, but it is more for our strategic requirement of where we want to be, right? But we would definitely want to look at how we deploy our monies carefully and make the best out of the money that we have. And like what you rightly said, acquisition is definitely on the cards, but we will be careful in choosing. Therefore, we may take a little longer in doing the right kind of diligence before we finalize.
Sure. And so before we delve into our legacy business of services, just wanted to understand the portion of the IPO proceeds that you demarcated for capex. What exactly, how is it going to be, used?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you would have seen in the prospectus, the IPO proceeds has three components primarily. One is investments into IT infrastructure, which means more servers, GPU grade servers, GPU machines for individuals, to the network infrastructure, better network infrastructure, security infrastructure, to communications, productivity tools, and all such. So that is a good 55 to 58 crores over a period of 2 years. That's what we had put up in our prospectus. The second component was to establish a better physical infrastructure. That means building, for which we are constructing a new facility, which is adjacent to our existing campus. Right. And the third one is that land that we are acquiring, where this building that I spoke about is going to come up. So it's about 40 crores for the land, roughly, and about 60 crores for the buildings, and the other 55 odd crores for the IT infrastructure. This is where the money would go.
And so when will this come online in terms of when will the infrastructure be ready? By FY 28 or
yeah, by 28, yes.
20. Okay, sure. And so as we delve into our legacy business, which is a services business, something that we started out with in 2000, I know that there are a lot of points that we can talk about, but if you can just cover 2 or 3 points within our services business that stand out and make us different, what would they be?
When we say services, although we call it technology services, it's not the typical IT services that any IT services company would provide, right? These are distinct. Distinct in the sense that these are education technology services, which are deep rooted in the domain. And our customers like Pearson trust us for those kind of platform development, or maybe product engineering, where the domain expertise would make a difference, right? Of course, we do have great technical prowess, by virtue of which we are able to get some projects which are tricky. For instance, a legacy system being doing a lift and shift of a legacy system from on-premise to cloud, right? Technically quite challenging and tricky because of the nuances, without having any kind of what should I say, downtime, right? Without a downtime doing all this, these are tricky challenges technology wise which are being entrusted to us. However, more important is our domain expertise. That is very important. The second is the long term relationship with these customers, right? Like Pearson, we work with many other customers with whom we have a relationship of over a decade, many a times. Our average vintage of our top 10 customers is more than 10 years, close to 11 years, our average vintage. So what it means is that, our understanding of our customers' systems is quite deep rooted, right? And that gives us a distinct advantage when we provide services. Many a times, the CTOs keep changing in our customer organizations, and we would have a better understanding of their systems than themselves, right? So that is the biggest advantage that we have. Relationships is a very important second one. Third is, again, rooted in the domain expertise, standards. Like many other industries, our industry is also driven by specifications and standards. right? I'm talking about standards for packaging content, standards for writing a question. There's something called as QTI, question and test interoperability. That defines how a multiple choice question should be written, how a fill in the blank, question should be written. Why is that important? Is because that enables interoperability between platforms. Today, you may have, a question bank in one platform, one system. Tomorrow, you want to migrate to another. You don't have to author all the questions again. You should be able to interoperate. You need to be able to port these questions seamlessly. That is why standards are in place. And I'm trivializing it, but there are deep, quite intense standards in our domain. We understand them very well, including those systems for accessibility and things like that. We have a Center of Excellence for Accessibility, which was established over 6 years ago, and doing a tremendous job in making platforms accessible for those who have difficulties in accessing.
Right, right. Sure. So I for the services business, unlike products which is SaaS based, there's the license fee involved. Services is basically, if I'm not wrong, an annuity type business where our margins are do we categorize our margins as cost plus in the services business, or how do we price them?
No, Premji, this is typical time and material. We put together teams for our customers, and we have a time and material billing, monthly billing, and we have rate card, and based on the rate card, there is a monthly billing that happens. So this is standard.
Traditional IT services, how the entire country.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And just wanted to understand, as we, what I had in mind is that, for the sake of relatability, if we can just do 2 or 3 case studies in terms of a product business. So I remember reading in one of your con calls is that one of the few short-term triggers over the next 2-3 years for growth is the driving license tests in the UK. So if you could break something like that down in a layman language on what exactly is happening there, or maybe our partnership with EQA, where we'll be assessing tests online, including proctoring them. If you could break that down, that would be very helpful.
So what I would do instead, if you allow, is a driving license test. Although everything that you said is right, I would rather go on somewhere like a Chartered Quality Institute, which is where we use both our service assessment platform and the proctoring engine, and deliver tests. I'll just take that as an example, right? So to slice down the customer, right? Chartered Quality Institute, like what I said, they are quality.org, right? So they are part of the Royal Charter. So they deliver exams, typically certification exams like ISO lead auditor, or maybe a PS British standard, or maybe any other certification or accreditation. So they deliver about 65,000 tests on our platform. And these tests are both, delivered on our platform as well as proctored on Easy Proctor, right? So typically, we charge. It is roughly we make about 8 crores of business with Chartered Quality Institute, right? With about 65,000 tests. So what it means to us is, the entire stack that I was talking about earlier. So there is a per test revenue, there is a minimum revenue guarantee. Of course, they do much more than that every year. And this keeps ramping up over a period of time. We have reached 65,000 now, which may increase in the future because of obvious reasons that the tests that they delivered would increase. Number of test takers is one thing, but then the test itself increasing. For example, now we have a ISO 42,000 or 41,000, if I'm not mistaken, the artificial intelligence management system, right? So that's a new standard for AIMS, artificial intelligence management systems, and ISO standard. And once that was released, there was a need for a number of certified lead auditors, certified internal auditors, and all those people. That means that many more tests happening on the platform, right? Likewise, it could be something on environment, or it could be something on social impact, ethics. So there are number of such certifications and ratings that are happening worldwide, for which there are certified professionals required, and which is what a CQI would do typically, and therefore our revenues keep expanding. So we started our engagement with CQI in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, and we have grown from almost on a 50% year on year to where we are at around 8 crores today. So just to give you a sense of how a customer would expand.
So, sir, from a test taker's perspective, if I were to give a CQI test, essentially it would mean either logging into your platform, or not your platform, but CQI's platform that is powered by you all, or going into a physical test center that is maybe managed by Pearson and giving the test. So,
in this case, in CQI's case, this is test taken on our platform with proctoring happening on our platform. That CC Proctor does the proctoring, right? So in this case, there is no test center involved. You don't have to go into a test center. But you are right. In many other cases, you may be forced to get into a test center, though they are using our platform for the test taking experience. There may not be a proctoring at all, so they would be taking up in a test center. So just on that, maybe I'm jumping a little bit, digressing back. I remembered when we spoke about test centers, right? So test center business itself, right? So there are companies, large companies world over, which have this test center business, large test center, some large number of test centers, right? And it is a difficult thing for many, even today, to set up a test center, and they cannot do it just like that on a fly. That's because you have to load the software onto a local system, sanitize the entire environment, make sure that all the systems are working properly. So there's a lot of effort that many of these companies which are in the test center business, a lot of effort and time they are spending in erecting test centers, right? And there is this use case of some exams being truly large scale, but in a very short period. Talk about, I'm just giving as a hypothetical example, a railway recruitment board exam, for instance, right? So there will be literally tens of millions of people taking that exam on a very short period, maybe a week or less than that, right? So for which people will have to set up test centers, or there is a requirement for test centers very high at that time. So we are seeing the test center providers finding it difficult to erect it. They spend a lot of like event management pretty much, right? So they will have to do everything before the event happens. So what we have done is we have come up with a device. It's a small, maybe as big as a slightly bigger matchbox, right? So which runs the tests. This is a server, very high capacity, more capable than any typical laptop, has all capabilities of delivering tests. More than 100, we have tested up to 200 test takers from one device, but definitely 100 plus test takers can take a test, and you can create and erect a test center in a few minutes, because this device has everything that is required. You have the Wi-Fi module to create that Wi-Fi where people can come with their own device and take the test, or it could be, and it's simple. You can have what we call as question packs, and you download it onto the device, and then the tests are delivered. They all come back to this device, and from there is a response pack that goes back to your phone, and it syncs up with the main server. So in other words, you can erect a test center in minutes, which is a great boon for test center providers. So we are piloting this with some of our customers who run test centers, and hopefully this will be an important addition to their abilities.
So is this like a mini CPU connected to multiple computers at the same time? And then there's no need to install a software or something. The hardware will take care of everything. Is it something like that?
Yeah, correct. No installation required, Jay. It is a device which has a Bluetooth module. You use your phone, you will have your what we call as question packs coming into your phone. It's a small app there, and from that app you transfer it you via Bluetooth to this device, switch on the Wi-Fi module on this device, and this network, this room with 100 computers can become a test center. So you deliver the tests, get all the responses into this device, and then connect back using Bluetooth to your phone, and then upload this. One button click goes to the server, and your tests are done.
Very interesting.
Got it, sir. Got it. Sir, I had one question, just taking an example of the CPUI arrangement. Here, the product revenue is basically the licenses and the minimum guarantee revenue that we have, and all the adaptation that we do on it is the services revenue, right?
Correct.
So, I think the services revenue is also recurring and product is also recurring. So,
Services,
it is very hard to distinguish from services as well. So, of what is recurring and what is not. So, one implementation would be one time. But
Correct.
then the O&M that you mentioned, the operation and maintenance cost, that is recurring. So in
100%.
that, in services as well, there is recurring revenue and one-time revenue, right? So
Correct.
what will be that percentage?
See,
And
yeah, correct. You are right. So the terminology that we use is again simple, straightforward. We say the initial implementation would have the implementation costs after customization and all of that. Once gone live, you'll have change requests. And in many cases, you would have phased implementation. So the customization would be turned into change requests over many years, right? You would have first phase done in first year, we go live, and then you have a set of requirements for the second release, right? So therefore, like what you rightly said, apart from the test license revenues, we will also have customization and other service revenues on a recurring basis, because they will continue to develop more features on the platform. The second thing is the service that you mentioned. Yeah, that's also right. There is a O&M component which is annuity based, that is also recurring year after year. So although there will be a high in the first year typically for implementation, typically that's what we have seen. There will be a higher implementation cost, and then the licenses would grow over a period of time. This will be support will be sort of flat, and then customization would be ramping down.
oh, that's why you guided on the same, right? The products will be eventually 60. And then
Absolutely right.
Services will. Got it.
And so also, if we could discuss one or two more case studies. I think what I found very interesting is that we have started proctoring for O-level exams in the UK, which are essentially school exams, where handwritten exams are going to be looked at through our OTR links. So if you could just give us a understanding of what exactly is that and how will that ramp up.
MJ, one caveat though, I'll probably come back and do another video, I don't mind, to talk about the nitty-gritties from the pricing and all that point of view, because we are just about to sign the agreement.
Sure. No, we won't talk about it. Yeah.
So because of that, what I'll do is I'll talk about it as a example of how handwritten exams are dealt with, and we can probably use it accordingly. Right? AQA, like what I said, is a awarding body. They award qualifications in the UK. They are the largest provider of GCSE exams. GCSE, O-level, A-level, and AS exams, equivalent of our 10th and 12th exams, right? So they have been delivering roughly about 12 million exams every year, roughly, number of answer scripts. And all these happen in the form of handwritten exams. So there is an answer booklet, there are questions, and then there are spaces where you write the answers. And these are all scanned, and then scanned images are passed through an e-marking system. And this e-marking system enables them to deliver these responses of students, handwritten responses, to markers where they are marked. This is a typical e-marking system, right? So what I'm going to talk about is how this experience can be enhanced, right? So handwritten tests means handwritings can come in different formats, right? Some very good handwriting to very, very bad handwriting, almost illegible. Obviously, this has a huge impact in the marker's ability to mark and their perception of what the mark should be. There's an influence of the bad or good handwriting on the marker, which is not really fair, because you're not judging the handwriting abilities of the student, but you are judging the or evaluating, marking the understanding and the content itself, right? So there is a move towards digitizing the handwriting content, right? And we are one of those early movers, early innovators, if you will, in this space. So what we have done is again used AI, not one but multiple models, and perfected this OCR of handwritten text.
That
And
OCR
this
is
is
basically character recognition, right? Is it
correct. It's character recognition of handwriting, right?
right?
So this is very tricky. A typical LLM could do it only to a certain degree of accuracy, because handwritings are very different. So you'll have to use a combination for, and a different LLM for a different subject and things like that, which we have perfected over a period of time. And we have done pilots with AQA, and they've been happy with what they have seen. So we are working closely with them to make sure that this is an enabler. The machine readable format is an enabler for making sure that the marker has assistance, so that they don't have to be unfair because the response was not legible enough. You know what I mean? So if they can take shelter, they can immediately switch to the machine read format to go through the questions, or it could be assistance in marking itself. There can be the AI enabled marking happening in the background, which could nudge the marker if the marker's response and the AI marking is quite different. AI is giving 8 out of 10 and the marker is giving 3 out of 10. Something may be wrong, so it may nudge and say, okay, do you want to relook at what you have done? So these are possibilities that we are working on.
Right.
The opportunity is large because of the number of assessments are large. We're talking about 12 million exams happening, right? So that is why I'm talking about the entire industry. This is huge because world over, number of exams that are run on handwritten responses is huge, and that is something what we are looking at.
Right.
So enabling markers to do better, and if the policymakers are okay with it, using e-marking or AI enabled or AI based marking without the need for a human marker. Maybe humans are only in the loop making quality checks.
So I think the relevant something for this is like how our proctor product, you don't need one proctor for every exam. You might need one proctor for 20 people taking exam. So is it going to be the same way? Basically, are we going to replace markers at some point? Or
if the policymakers are okay with it, if the policymakers are okay with it, and it is not a straightforward response, straightforward answer for me at this point in time, because it has more ramifications than what meets the eye, right? So there is something about markers losing their job to everything else. So we have to look at how the policymakers would frame policies in this space and enable accordingly. Ajay, you had a question.
Yes, sir. So my question was, how are we doing this better than the other LLMs, which have so much data and they have trained on this stuff from decades? How are we doing it better? What are we doing differently to give the marking or the accuracy is such a high degree?
So this is basically using a combination. No single LLM is an expert in anything. So we use multiple and use the right kind of weights for different LLMs. And this team has been working on this for a long time, and they have been able to perfect it.
And so this happens through API calling, or as you tell, you have in-house GPU farms. I also wanted to understand that part. Like, how does this work exactly in a layman term? Because what I understood is you have your own GPU farms. You do open source. You have open source LLMs. You fine tune it, and then you use it according to that. But then you also mentioned that you are using OpenAI's LLM infrastructure and Claude's infrastructure. Like, how is this working together? I just wanted to understand better.
Right. See, it's not necessarily open source alone. It is also subscription based. So our costs will not be unaffordable is what I was trying to say. That it's a combination of open source as well as subscription based. So we have made a combination of many. That's the point. What Jai we could do is maybe Adarsh couldn't join today. We could set up a quick call with him. Maybe Adarsh is our innovations head, so we could do a quick call with him for all your more technical questions. So I think I'm almost reaching my limit in terms of technology understanding. So yeah.
Surely,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, no.
No, I think we got a very balanced view about our product and services segment, how we've evolved over the years. So I just wanted to understand from a revenue perspective, for an IT company, there are two things that matter. One is the deal wins, and second is how effectively can we mine our existing customers. So while deal wins will continue happening for us in the near future, I just wanted to understand, do we have any kind of pricing power in our legacy business where we can, sort of increase our billings year on year basis, at least a little bit more than inflation maybe? Does that
Right.
exist in the industry itself? Does that exist for us? Just wanted to understand.
Right. So in many of our contracts do have that clause on inflation-based escalation of pricing built into the contracts. Many of which are definitely, and also that in our existing customers, like what I was saying, we if we do well with our customers, we are on the revenue side of our customers. Say CQA makes money by delivering tests. You know what I mean? So CQI may be spending X pounds on our test, but they are doing at least 5x on this, right? So they would obviously want to do more and more over a period of time. So they will add more tests, they will market more. So they as and more when they deliver more, because we are on this side of the revenue side. So our pie with them would increase, obviously. So that is how our existing businesses also should grow. Added to that, we are strengthening our sales teams. Definitely, like what I said, it could be via acquisitions we get sales team, or maybe our own effort also. We want to definitely look at increasing our sales teams, frontline sales teams. We have already working on it. We already have added many of them in various geographies. So we'll continue to do that. While doing that, we also have been strengthening our account management team, the customer success account management teams as well in all geographies. So that means that, we are doing our bit, that effort to do better mining, better farming, gathering, whatever you to call it as. So expecting more revenue from our existing customers as well.
So do we have a significant pipeline for the next over 2-3 years? Is it?
Yes, we have done a fair amount of analysis of our pipeline. We have done all the mix and match, digging, detailing, slicing, dicing, all of that we have done, and we are quite comfortable with what we have to meet our projections. All this will come in together, like our expansion of our sales teams, which will bring in more leads to our ability to meet the sales team's requirement in terms of pre-sales, and then we have the account management team bringing in more, as well as our ability to deliver, expanding, and hopefully when acquisitions happen, so that could be one more dimension to the whole thing.
I think all these things will more or less, it looks like that it converge together at some point. Maybe this
Correct.
year, next year is a question that remains open. But yes.
Correct.
Right.
The outlook is good. That's what I would want to say.
So as we move towards the fag end of the video, if you've been in this business for the last 25-30 years, you've seen all the cycles, ups and downs. While we are going ahead, guns blazing, things are going well for us. If you could just outline one or two risks that can happen, not just in our business but within the industry itself, be it education, be it IT services, it would be very helpful for
Sure. Yeah. Obvious. The biggest risk is not being ready for change. The industry is changing fast. Technology landscape is changing fast. If we are not able to adapt ourselves and adopt the newer technologies, rather I would say if we are not adept enough to adapt and adopt the newer technologies, that would be the biggest risk for sure. And I think we have been cautious enough, not from now. I think even way back in 2000, when I was talking about the Guardian project, Priyamji, I spoke about the content management system that we developed, right? So Microsoft had released a beta version of their .NET platform at that time. And we engaged with Microsoft, a small company based out of some corner in Mysore. We were able to pull strings and get Microsoft to be, provide us with some amount of consulting. And we used .NET, which was in its beta for the content management system of Guardian in 2000. Right? We were one of the very early adopters of cloud. When cloud happened, adoption happened very well in somewhere in 2009-10 kind of time frame. From 2007, we had a team working on cloud. So we have been, because of the thinking, Mr. Sudanva's thinking, forward thinking abilities, we have been investing effort in the right places is what I would want to believe. AI is definitely one of such. Quantum, we have a team which is working on the quantum technologies and its impact. What's possible with quantum, although it is not something which would provide functionality per se, but a lot more abilities hopefully. So there is a team which is looking at that. Adarsh, with Mr. Sudanva's guidance, is spearheading what's called as Mysore Quantum and AI Forum. So we're already working on it. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is that definitely is a risk. Not being ready for change is a risk, but seems like we have mitigated it well. The other risks are that this industry itself, the industry what I'm talking about, learning and assessment industry. There are paradigm changes, irrespective of the technology that comes in, right? If you are not ready for paradigm changes, like the micro learning that I spoke about, right? Nugget-sized learning that I spoke about. The typical whole 9 yards kind of a learning management system is not working. So if we stick on to that, not ready for embracing newer paradigms, then that would be a bigger risk, very big risk, right? So of course, looking at inward looking, although people talk about the concentration risk and all of that, but I would believe that those are, not really risks, because we have been working with those customers for a long period of time, and then they are growing naturally. It doesn't mean that the others are shrinking, so others are also growing, and over a period of time that also would be remedied, is what I would want to believe. So yeah, that's where we
very, very well explained. So I think for our revenue cycle ahead, you all have given plenty of guidances out in the public forum. Very happy to have got a nitty-gritty view of the business today. I think it will add a lot of value for our viewers, for subscribers, and everyone who wants to deep dive into the business of Excelsoft. And most importantly, thank you very much for your time on a holiday. You've taken out an hour and a half. Very privileged to have your time, and looking forward to meet you again someday.
Sure, Premji. Wonderful. It was such a great conversation we had. Very nice. Thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to the continued interaction.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayji.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.